Let's read the Calgary Reads Book Sale book haul. Hello everyone, I've got some exciting news. My mother called me up the other day and she said, hey, the Calgary Reads is going to have their big book sale, which is a yearly sale that they do every year, every 365 days per annum, and they're having one tomorrow. Would you be able to come and meet up with me and we can go and we can buy some books? They've got books that are super, super cheap, and I was just like, why did I not know about this before? I am totally going to that. Calgary Reads is a charitable organization that looks to teach children and youth reading skills and to give them an appreciation and love for reading. And I think they do tutoring as well, but they do a lot of really cool stuff. And with this annual book sale every year, I thought it'd be a great idea to check it out. So I skipped out of work for the morning and went, and it was amazing. I bought a ton of books, far too many books, but at the same time, when you can get hardcovers for $3 and paperbacks for $2, who could pass that up? And I went, and they had so many books. So now I'm going to do a book haul of all the stuff I found. The first book I've already read and really loved, but I must have borrowed it from somebody when I read it the first time because I didn't have it on my shelf. And to round out the collection, I've got Children of Dune by Frank Herbert. So now I have the complete set of the original books. This next book I've wanted to read for a really long time, and it's The Chronoliths by Robert Charles Wilson. Yes, I got the name right. Okay. This one I wanted to read for the longest time, but when I finally was able to be like, I'm buying this book, it was sold out of bookstores. Nobody had it, and I found one. I'm a big fan of Dan Simmons and wanted to read his earlier fiction, and so I managed to get his first novel, Song of Kali. A classic that I want to read but just don't know much about is Earth Abides by George R. Stewart. I've read the first book in the Foundation trilogy, but had a hard time with it. Didn't like it that much, but going forward, I still want to read the rest of the books in that series. And so they had this one here, which has Foundation, Second Foundation, and Foundation and Empire by Isaac Asimov. Also, it's 3 books, and I got it for $2 because it's a paperback. So I think the charity needs to rethink how they charge for books, because I totally stole this one. For $2, did not steal it. There's The Omen Machine by Terry Goodkind. I love the Sword of Truth series, or at least loved the Sword of Truth series, until it became far too preachy. When the characters stopped simply acting for themselves and started preaching at every single opportunity, standing on a soapbox and saying that how great freedom was. If you've read the series, you might know what I'm talking about. His series ended after 13, 14 books? Book 11? No, it was 11 books. I'm thinking of The Wheel of Time. The series finally ended, but then the author has decided to keep writing books. And so they're no longer called The Sword and Truth. They're no longer called The Sword of Truth. It's called the Richard and Kaylin novel, which sounds like a detective buddy story. I am totally done with this series, but I kind of want to check it out and just see how bad it's gotten. I'm totally doing this as a spite read. Every now and then you come across a book that just looks totally ridiculous, and for me that was The Singers of Time, which has a cow, a girl, and a little turtle flying with wings, kind of this turtle Batman guy in the background, by Frederick Pohl and Jack Williamson. And Frederick Pohl is a classic science fiction author. His stuff is quite amazing, but because this one was so ridiculous, I just thought I would check it out. A book I've already got in hardcover is To Green Angel Tower by Tad Williams. I want to reread the whole thing. Speaking of which, I also have the Dragonbone chair. My copy probably won't stand up to too many more rereads, so with this thing, I can collect it and read this one to death, and then I can read this one as well, and I would highly recommend the series Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. It is amazing. I have a paperback, but since it was so cheap, I also got the hardcover of Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, so I'm going to probably read this one at home and use the other copy as my travel copy. A book I've read before and loved and totally want to read again is Ilium, but I lent this to my boss at work. He never returned it to me. There were a bunch of other books I lent to him, and he returned those, but he didn't return it, and I'm not going to ask him for it back because I get the feeling he won't be able to find it. It's lost to me. So there's Ilium by Dan Simmons. This one's just to fill out that empty space on my shelf where it's supposed to be. Another book by Frederick Pohl, The World at the End of Time. No clue what it's about, just picked it up because I thought it was a neat title. Ken MacLeod's The Cassini Division. No idea what it's about again. Just going to read it. The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. This one, I tried reading his other series, the one that came before this. The Assassins, The Shadow. The Night Angel Trilogy. There we go. Actually, I can probably find it out by looking in the book. The Way of Shadows. Yeah, there it is, right there, staring me in the face. I tried reading that one, didn't like it. But I kind of want to reread this one just to see if the author gets stronger, or by telling a different story does something much more interesting. So this would be the guy who got me hooked on historical fiction, which would be Bernard Cornwell. I've got his book Sword Song. I don't know what it's about, didn't look at the description, but I'm going to give it a try. Some books you buy based solely on their cover design, and for me this book gets to be 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. The cover is flimsy as ever, this dust jacket. And I know Chip Kidd is like a world-renowned book cover designer, and anyone would be lucky to have a book cover designed by him. I can't help but wonder if this is somehow, if the thinness of this cover is related to the story. I would like to be able to read this book not in a hyperbaric chamber for fear of destroying the paper that it comes with, because it's so thin. I think it's rice paper. I understand the need to design a fancy cover, but at the same time, the function of a dust jacket is to protect the book from the elements, and this dust jacket feels like it needs its own protection, armed bodyguards or something. So anyway, I'm going to read this one probably carefully and without that dust jacket. I might make a paper one just so that I can not fear for its life. The last book in my book haul is Labyrinth by Kate Moss. Recently, I bought this the same day that I saw that Magic of Books, she's a booktuber, had posted a review of the book. She said a few things that weren't so favorable of it, so now I'm just like, do I want to read this? I don't know. I might skim through it. I'll post a link to her review below and in this little bubble thing by this book. You can try that out. Is it working? Is there a bubble? Bubble? Link? Book? Okay, the link's gone. That was your chance. It's over now. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'd like to say thank you to all the booktubers who I've met or been able to communicate with this past while. It's been a pleasure to talk with you guys. It's a really interesting community, and I'm glad to be walking into it right now. Definitely, if you are in the Calgary area or in Alberta, please go to the Calgary Reads website and check out their stuff. They're trying to do some really wonderful things involving reading, and their book sale was just absolutely amazing, and I'd like to thank anybody who was involved with that, who put it together. It was a really great event and really, really well organized. So that's the book haul. The thing about doing these videos is I'm never quite sure about how to end them, and so often I stand here for minutes at a time trying to think about what to say at the very end. I feel better. So, what should I read next? Moby Dick. No. The Fountainhead. No. A Separate Piece. No. First up on the shelf is Children of the Lens by E.E. Doc Smith. Children of the Lens by E.E. Doc Smith. This is part of the Lensman series. If you read it, you will... I'd pick this one. Anyways, I've got some reading to do, so I'm sure you've got some reading to do too. Go turn some pages. Find some good stories. I'll talk to you later. All right, bye. Click.